What's up, everybody? Sunday Night Football in the books. The Commanders take down the Falcons in overtime. Jayden Daniels does it again. Michael Penix battled. Playoff implications there. Wanted to touch on Vikings-Packers as well, as Minnesota sets up a date with Detroit with the number one seed on the line. Playoff picture updates in both the AFC and the NFC. We'll get to all that here on Four Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you want some live NFL playoffs coverage, we're going to do some watch parties, perhaps some live post-game reaction shows, for sure some videos throughout the postseason. Subscribe today. We're your home for the NFL playoffs here on YouTube. All right, Commanders clinch a playoff berth with a 30-24 overtime victory over the Atlanta Falcons. Kind of a wild game in which Atlanta led 17-7 at halftime. I thought had Washington on the ropes. If you didn't watch this game, the Commanders had a 3rd and 22 in their opening drive of the third quarter, down by 10. And Jayden Daniels gets sacked. A couple of guys whiff on their blocks. And Atlanta gets called with this ticky-tack illegal contact penalty on a play that really did not impact the play at all. And it seemed like the game just changed after that. Cliff Kingsbury adjusted his game plan. He started running Jayden Daniels left and right. Some quick passes. All of a sudden they score on a long drive. They get the ball back, score again. You look up and it's 21-17 in a game where Atlanta was one play away from getting the ball back, up 10 points in the third quarter. I mean, that was a critical play in the game. Washington dominated the second half from there on the ground. Daniels just kept running. 16 carries, 127 yards. It kind of seemed like if his first or second read wasn't there, Cliff just told him, just take off. We got to clinch this playoff spot tonight. And Atlanta did not adjust. They did not spy him, from what I could tell, hardly at all. They could not figure him out. And when he needed to get a first down, he seemed to find one with his legs. Threw for 3 touchdowns as well. He's the rookie of the year. It's not Bo Nix. Don't let that propaganda machine fool you. But Bo Nix has had nice moments. I think all 4 rookie quarterbacks have had nice moments, but there is no doubt Jayden Daniels has been the best rookie quarterback this year. I don't think that's even debatable at this point. So he gets it done. Michael Penix, up and down night, 19-35, 223. 1 touchdown and a pick. His first touchdown pass comes on 4th and goal at the 11 with about 25 seconds left. Or no, a minute 25 left. Throws a BB to Kyle Pitts. Made some big-time throws. Had some bad misses. Kind of looked like a rookie in his second start. It's like, you see the potential. Arm strength is there. He's a fearless passer of the football. But, little erratic. I thought Raheem Morris had multiple clock blunders in this game. Into the first half, doesn't take a timeout, probably cost them a chance at a touchdown. They have to settle for a field goal. Into the game, does the same thing. They end up settling for a 56-yard field goal. If he takes a timeout earlier, they probably have a couple extra plays. I thought there was some really bad game management there by him. Probably cost Atlanta tonight. But listen, the Falcons had their chances. That illegal contact call, man, that changed the game. There is no doubt in my mind. If Atlanta gets that ball back up 10, they go down and score there. The game, it's borderline over, but that gave Washington extra life. I thought Cliff did a good job of finding some adjustments in the run game and just, let Jayden be Jayden, which is, if the pocket's clean and the throws there, make it. But if not, be a willing runner. Go clinch a playoff spot, leave no doubt. And that is what they did. So big win for Washington. What a season, 11-5. They can't win the East with Philadelphia winning, so we'll see if they play their guys next week. They're still jockeying with Green Bay with the 6 and 7 seed, so I would imagine they play straight up next week against Dallas, but we'll see how they handle that. Other ramifications from this result: the Rams officially win the NFC West. Seattle has been eliminated just based on tiebreaker scenarios. To stay alive, Seattle needed Atlanta to win tonight and then Detroit to win tomorrow over the 49ers. But with Washington winning tonight, the Rams end up clinching. So that Seattle-LA game is irrelevant now because the Rams are locked in, I believe, into the I think they're locked into the 3 seed. No? I'd have to double check because Tampa is a game back, so maybe they still have to win to get the 3 seed next week. We'll see how Sean McVay plays that. We'll see what the tiebreakers are. They'll have to double check on that. But either way, they're the 3 or the 4 seed. They clinched the division. Back in the playoffs for a second straight year. This time they'll get at least one home playoff game. Bummer that this eliminated Seattle because this could have been a win or get in situation had things fallen differently next week. But now Seattle is out, which is kind of crazy. If Seattle wins next week, they will go 10-7, and in a 7-team playoff system per conference, they're out. I mean, that's pretty unlucky this year. It's just the way it played out. I mean, you got 3 teams in the NFC North with 11 or more wins, 2 teams in the NFC East with 11 or more wins, and then you got the NFC South champion. So that's just the way it works. So Rams are in the playoffs. We'll take a look at the whole playoff picture in just a second, but I do want to talk a little Vikings-Packers real quick. This Sam Darnold thing, man, I don't know I do know what you do if you're Minnesota. Unless Sam Darnold just shits the bed in their first playoff game, I don't know how you don't bring him back next year. Like, I know you drafted J.J. McCarthy, but I wonder if a scenario is rising in which Minnesota, a team who does not have a lot of draft picks next year, trades J.J. McCarthy for a first-round pick to try and get some capital back. Because there's going to be QB-needy teams, especially considering this next draft is not a super strong one at quarterback. You've got Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, 2 good but not great prospects. Ward's got really good tools, but he's a little erratic. Probably should sit for a year. Shedeur has accuracy, but holds on to the ball too long. Doesn't have the biggest arm. So, I think JJ, if he was in this draft, there's a good chance he'd be the first QB drafted. So I do wonder, like a team like the Raiders, who's won 2 in a row and are now sitting with the number 8 pick. If the Giants, they're now sitting at pick number 4, if they can't get Shedeur or Ward, would they just trade their pick for J.J. McCarthy? I think it's pretty interesting. Now, it's going to probably come down a little bit to how the Vikings play in the postseason, plus how they feel about J.J. If they absolutely love the kid, they'll probably just keep him, even if they bring Sam back. But I just wonder, given their lack of draft capital, if they want to risk breaking this thing up. Because Sam Darnold, I don't know if you guys saw the celebration in the locker room. That locker room loves him. They're all in on him. Coaches, players, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. He's their guy. And, sometimes we get caught prisoner of the moment, but the whole point when you're building an NFL football team is to find a franchise quarterback. I get it's been one season, but for this 1 year, Sam Darnold has been a fringe top 5 quarterback. You're going to throw that away? I don't think so. That doesn't mean they'll trade McCarthy, but I do think it means Darnold is back next year unless he just shits the bed against Detroit next week and in the first round of the playoffs. Barring anything more than that, I think at minimum they franchise tag him and bring him back and keep McCarthy. If they go on a deep run, if they win next week and the number 1 seed runs through Minnesota, that stadium in Minneapolis, which gets loud as hell, they absolutely could make the Super Bowl. There's no reason why they couldn't. They have an excellent offensive line. I mean, I'm watching today, and Darnold's just sitting back there all day to throw. They have weapons everywhere with Addison, obviously, Jetta, the best receiver in the league, Hawkinson, a top 10 tight end. Aaron Jones can still play. Jalen Naylor is a sneaky, really good number 3 receiver. He's got like 6 or 7 touchdowns this year. Their play calling on both sides. O'Connell, the head coach and offensive coordinator. Obviously, Brian Flores running the defense. Their defense is playing really well. Why can't they make a run? I know everybody's like, well, we got to see Darnold do it. And yeah, we got to see him do it in the playoffs. But at this point, for this season, he is a high level player. He really, really is. So that thing to me is honestly, some would say it's getting more complicated. I think it's getting less complicated. I think he's back, barring the tiny % chance that he just falls off a cliff these next 2 weeks. The only question then becomes is McCarthy. Do you keep or do you trade him? I would guess they keep him, but if a team's willing to throw a first-round pick at you and you lack draft capital, I think at that point you would have to consider trading him. So that's the latest on that. Let's take a look at the playoff picture here. The Minnesota-Detroit thing doesn't really matter. The winner, and Detroit plays tomorrow night, so they would actually jump back up to 1 if they beat San Francisco, but they don't even need to win that game because win or lose, the winner next week of Lions-Vikings gets the 1 seed, the loser gets the 5 seed. So that's all you need to know about that. Philly has locked in the 2 seed. They're actually 13-3 with their win today, so they're locked in as the 2 seed. The Rams are locked in at the 3 seed. Although I think Tampa, we'll have to double check, 3 and 4, 3 or 4 for the Rams. Tampa clinches the division with a win next week. If they lose and Atlanta wins, Atlanta would get the final spot in the NFC. Wild card, like I said, 5 seed is either Minnesota or Detroit. Commanders and Packers. Commanders have the tiebreaker right now. Obviously, if they were to lose next week against Dallas and Green Bay beat the Bears, the Packers would get the 6th seed. Otherwise, it's going to sit how it sits. AFC, Chiefs are clinched. They're going to play their backups next week against the Broncos, which means for Denver, if they can beat the Chiefs' backups, they are in the playoffs. If they lose and Miami wins, Miami would get the final playoff spot. If they lose and Miami loses, the Bengals would get the final playoff spot. Buffalo, same thing. They're 13-3 now. They locked in the 2 seed. Ravens, if they win, they clinch the 3 seed. If they lose and Pittsburgh wins, Pittsburgh would get the 3 seed. Ravens would get the 5. Potentially no, they'd still get the 5. They have the tiebreaker over the Chargers. Texans locked in as the 4. Chargers could get the 5 seed if they win and the Steelers lose. And then otherwise, they're the 6 seed. And like I said, Denver, if they win, they're in. If not, Miami and Cincinnati has the door open. So there you have it. That is the latest in the National Football League as we head into Monday Night Football. The one thing that sucks about tomorrow is that game has no meaning whatsoever. I know Dan Campbell said he's playing it straight up tomorrow, but I wonder if he somewhat reconsiders, at least like in the second half. Like, do you sit your key guys in the second half? Play Hendon Hooker in the second half. It does not matter. It makes no difference if they win or lose that game. I know he's an old school guy, but it's like, let's use some logic here, Dan. Don't go balls to the wall and get. I mean, you've already had a million injuries. Let's not get another key guy injured. But we'll see how he approaches that tomorrow. My name is Harrison Graham. Again, we're going to ramp up our coverage even more as we get closer to the playoffs here. So hit that subscribe button. Let us know who's winning the Super Bowl. This thing feels open. There's some teams out. There's 5, 6, 7 teams out there. It feels like could win it. I'd still lean Chiefs, but we'll see how it all shakes out. Drop a comment down below, and we'll see you guys next time.